You doing good?
Huh?
You doing good?
Yep.
It's a freaking hot day today.
It is definitely have a good warm spot.
Yeah, it's good. At least we got a nice couple breezes going on. Hey, everybody, it's me, Brandon Labonte, host of Two Dads Having a Beer, a weekly podcast where I like to talk to a guest dad about the balance of life and the balance of entrepreneurship and just some fun things that we always do with our kids, but also understanding the nuances of that balance. And today we're actually at a very special place, and we got ourselves a special guest dad today. As you can see behind me, all of these wonderful shiny pieces of equipment. We're at a brewery. That's right. If you look down here, you'll notice it says High Springs Brewing Company right here in beautiful downtown High Springs, Florida. If you're in the area, you should definitely stop by. And so today we're going to be introducing you to my good friend Kiffin Ayers, right? And you can see it spelled with two I's. He's not Kevin, it's Kiffin. And he was born in Alachua at the hospital that's now torn down, Alachua General Hospital. It was there for a really long time. And he's actually been living in a few different places in Southwest Florida, Georgia, North, and South Carolina. He's kind of been all over the place when it comes to your homes and what you like to call that place. But he is a father. He is a business owner. He's been married for 21 years, and he has 4 kids. What are the kids' names?
Kayla, Luther, Anna Grace, and Keegan.
He got his first job bussing tables when he was 13 years old. And now that he is not 13 years old, and I'm not going to tell you how old he is, he's had the entrepreneurial interest just kind of coursing through his veins. His father and his best friend opened up a surf shop in the 70s, Inland Surf Shop. I actually bought 2 or 3 skateboards there right off of 13th Street back in the day, and they had a nice little ramp in the backyard, and I think I broke one metacarpal there, just an FYI for you people in the olden days looking at. And we used to skate a lot back next to the Gainesville Golf Course, that little culvert that they have running down the side of the road is on Williston Road. But that's a story for another time. And so they sold that after they ran it for decades, and he went to high school, and they opened up a popcorn shop, and apparently I need some popcorn. I wish you had a popcorn machine here at the High Springs Brewing Company. He's had a dozen miscellaneous businesses, but what that taught him was how to be perseverant and how to grow and how to understand the business that he is going to get involved with. And that's where we come to now. We are literally in a thriving business. And just last week, it was Pioneer Days, and it was bumping into each other room only. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Kiffin Ayers to the show. Man,
glad to be here.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here because I'm in your hometown or your home office.
Yeah.
So tell us what you got going on around here, man.
Well, this is my office, and it varies in temperature based on whatever it feels like outside.
Right.
And this is where all the beer kind of comes to life.
It is. It doesn't come to life in our heads. It comes to life apparently in these machines. They don't think of nothing. They don't take away their creativity. Right. But we're standing here. It's 2 dads having a beer. I've got the dad, and now we have the beer. It's called It Takes a Village. It's a ginger lemongrass lager, and this is brewed and packaged down in Gainesville area, but it is a culmination of all of the breweries in Gainesville coming together, hence It Takes a Village, to build this wonderful beverage for all of us to share. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, all the breweries came together. We met and decided to come up with a beer that was right for this time of year.
Okay, start with that.
And so something that's easy to drink, and so with a lager was kind of where that landed. And then the working with UF and being able to acquire the ginger, and then lemongrass was locally acquired.
Sourced, yeah.
And being able to kind of put those together to create a refreshing, lager. I think it lands at about 4.5%. So it's perfect, for just enjoying any one of our hot days that we get the opportunity to have. And we got together at Cypress and Grove,
right,
to brew it.
That sounds freaking amazing. And so I'm really excited to try this beer. And it's probably a little bit difficult for you, the listener. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. But I am not going to have a hard time opening it. And so let's just do that right now. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's lemongrass and ginger for real. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
That is refreshing.
It is.
Ginger.
All the flavors come out. It's well balanced, and it's very, very refreshing.
And it's light.
Job
like
well done.
It's light. Like I don't feel like this is going to be a heavy beer.
Not at all. No.
After 6 or 10 of them.
Right.
Yeah, it should be just fine.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Listen, it's called It Takes a Village, and obviously there was probably a couple of batches that just didn't work out right.
Well, each year they come together and to put together. This is the first year that we've participated.
Okay.
And they would try to do different things to see what people like.
Sure.
And it really kind of came down to what could be more rapidly consumed so that we can get on to the other beers that we all make, where it's exciting to do collaborations, but we all have kind of mainstay beers that we make. And so being able to have something that people rush to, it's an annual thing. We'll enjoy it while it's here, and then we'll look forward to next year to whatever happens.
That's really great. So was there a bad batch called the Village Idiot? I don't know. Maybe.
There could be.
Because this one is definitely good. I wonder what the Village Idiot tastes like. But no, honestly, man, wow. Thank you so much for sharing this. He said he had the beer for me when I invited him to the show. And I didn't read the picture that he sent thoroughly because I should wear glasses a lot, and I didn't have them on at the time. And I'm like, oh, I get the big bold print, but the small stuff I'll wait for. And so it is honest. This is a great freaking beer. So congratulations to all of you breweries in town that have kind of collaborated to make this happen. I'm still trying to figure out what the crayons are for, but
I think they're houses.
Oh, those are
they're little houses with brown tops.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that makes more sense than crayons. And whoever was the that architecture is kind of messed me up a little bit. But maybe they drank 10 of these before they drew it.
Right. That's the village architecture for that space.
That's fantastic. So you're telling me that you have 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
And part of this show is just to kind of talk about, how you balance your entrepreneurial life with your family life. And so their ages are reminiscent of, older and younger. So how does that work out? What are some of the dynamics in your house that kind of really showed themselves prominent during the entrepreneurial, starting of High Springs Brewing Company?
Well, let's see. I think our older 2 were pretty much older, and in high school, college, and then the younger 2, since we were teachers, I was a teacher before I came into this, and so pretty much spent our youngest 2 went to school with me, and so we were pretty day together, and so it was definitely a shift in their patience with me, because I wasn't around as much, because then they started going to school and I wasn't there, and so that was definitely some growth needed that happened in all of that, as we were kind of just laying the groundwork for the brewery to happen. And then the balancing in that was making sure that, and I've definitely learned more over the last few years, and being able to delegate things that don't essentially have to be me, because of things that do require me. When those things happen, then I have to do those things.
Okay.
And being able to balance with the younger 2, because now they're going in, they're finishing 8th and 10th grade, and they're active in band and theater, and so there's a lot of activities that are that I want to participate in.
So let's talk about that, right? So I've had some guests on, and we've talked about the entrepreneurial side of it, right? A lot of dads get into being an entrepreneur for a couple of different reasons. One, because they have an amazing idea and they know that it's going to make them a lot of money, and they'll put in all their effort. And then, really the only thing that kids remember, they don't remember all the hard work that you put in for them. What they remember is that missed time, right? And then there are the dads who get into entrepreneurial work so that they can create their own schedule to be able to participate in the things that you were talking about, like being able to go to a game where or a band performance, or going to a performance where they're on stage and they're doing the things that really brings them joy, because at the end of the day it brings you joy. What was the reason? What are some of, what's your avenue that you find yourself leaning towards?
I prefer going to their activities, and so a lot of the things that I do will be during the day while they're at school, or trying to juggle it around those schedules, where so that I can casually enjoy going to the football games on Friday nights, and being able to go to the concerts or go to whatever activities transpire, because we want them to know they're supported, and want them to really to pursue things that they love, and to know that they have our that we're behind them, and it's easier to do that when they see us there. And it's also something that kind of the reason we started the brewery was because we didn't want to look back and regret not having started it. Look back and say we wish we would have done that. And so that's really kind of the same approach that we try to take with activities and participating with all of our family, is like choosing activities that it's like, if I was to look back, would I regret not having participated in that activity? And because we might have to juggle, there might be an activity, like this Thursday, we have to make a choice to go, to a meeting versus a band activity. But normally I'm always choosing the band activity, but it's being able to pick and choose isolated things, because the majority of the time is focused on them.
Yeah, that's a really one of the wonderful things about being a parent with kids that are active is watching them do those things, but also having older kids, right? And the teenagers, high school kids, right? They're actually at an age where they can comprehend responsibility. And you being a business owner, you have a responsibility. You're talking about this meeting on Tuesday night. That's for the city commission meeting, right?
On Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday. And so there's a responsibility that you have as a business owner to kind of make sure voice is heard in a community. And I think that your kids are at an age that they recognize that importance, and they'll give you a pass, for that event, because they know that they're still in high school. There's going to be more, but there's a big gap in your older kids and Anna Grace, who is your 16-year-old, right? 10 years almost.
Yep. Right. In that range.
Was that a like, hey, guess what? I'm pregnant.
Well, definitely intentional.
Okay. All right. Good. I mean, we all intend to do it.
And
so, which is the fun part, I suppose.
Our older two are from my wife's previous marriage.
Okay, great.
And
so we a blended family, right?
So I graduated seminary, we got married, and I became a father all in the same day.
So he said seminary, which is not seminary, which is not how you get kids. It's how you learn about religion. So just for you people who've been drinking too much.
Exactly. And so they were 6 and 4 when we got married.
Okay.
And so we thought we were pretty much the family that we were going to be.
Right.
And then we felt inclined to expand, and
awesome.
And we've not regretted a moment of it. And it's been delightful, because I'm the oldest of 5. And
are you really? Wow, that's great. And I'm the middle child.
I'm 13 years older than the
youngest. Wow.
So there's and he's one of the owners of the brewery as well.
Okay. Yeah. So tell me, how many owners are there of High Springs Brewing Company?
4.
4 owners. Are you guys all related?
We are my brother and I, and then our 2 brother-in-laws, which are I consider my brother-in-laws. We all consider each other brothers, but they're technically my brother's brothers-in-law.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, did you know you were going to get an ancestry.com message? Welcome. We're sponsored by ancestry.com. We talked about semen and we talked about lineage. So great.
Exactly.
No, honestly, I feel like one of the things that I love about this brewery is that I do feel at home when I come here. And I feel like the connections that I have with the people behind your bar who are serving, even your porters that are out there, you know, picking up glasses, I know them all. Like my son played soccer with a couple of them, and
Right.
you know, I've seen these faces for so long. It's just like, man, this is a community that supports each other. But when you get in here, you have conversations with people that are like you only see here.
Right.
It's like, I don't want to use the Cheers reference, right? But
Right.
it literally is that. Like, you didn't see Norm go to somebody else's house in the week, right? But they
No.
always seem to have a good connection when they're at their place to have a good beverage and enjoy each other's company. And so
Right.
I love that about High Springs Brewing Company. It literally it has that feeling. And
Yep.
and so how did you guys kind of build that into this? Because this used to be an old welding shop.
Right. Yes, and we still have metal flakes and other pieces of metal that kind of appear here and there, which is part of the
Hold on a second, let me get
Yeah.
that out there.
clean it off. I think a lot of our it's a bringing together of things that we've enjoyed. You know, where we would appreciate if we would go to a place like Norm and everybody knows your name,
Right.
and being able to at least recognize the face. You know, we have people coming in, and you know what they're going to order, and you can almost begin to get that.
Yeah.
You begin pouring that glass because you know what their beer, and you know they may explore some other things, but
For the most part, they go to Springs Light like I do every
Right.
time I'm here, or Sandy Britches, which is something that I
Exactly.
used to go to
Yeah.
all the time. I really enjoyed the Fluffy, which is something
Yeah.
that you guys just posted about. Like, hey, what should we have permanently on our menu?
Right.
And I think that was the one that won.
Well, it definitely is winning. Yeah.
Okay, so the contest's not over.
It's just we're in the process of expanding our taps, possibly
Okay.
doubling or tripling the taps that we have, and
Okay.
so our regular
Regularly
beers
consumed beers. Yeah.
will be on all the time, and so it was a lot of growing kind of what does regular mean, you
Right.
know, and being able to make sure those are always on, so that when you come and you're able to get straight in station
Sure.
rather than having to spend your time deciding, you know, what you want to have, which is fun too. But if you're coming to meet, or you're coming to just kind of debrief from the day,
Right.
being able to not have you know, an added hiccup, you know.
So
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, an added hiccup of not having the beer that you enjoy the most would be a very, very disruptive part
Right.
of anybody's day.
Some people have gotten really upset.
You know, hey, you know what? You can get upset all you want. We have
Yeah.
14 other beers to choose from.
Exactly.
Listen,
Got choices.
expand your taste buds. That's all we gotta say. And so
That's
I feel like one of the things that I want to say, you know, I've had every beer that you guys have produced in here, right? I am not a dark stout guy. I'm not an oatmeal guy. I'll drink those, but that's not my go-to beer. What do you think is your number one seller? Oh, you probably do know. You guys have data. What's your number one seller right now that you could tell, hey, listen, if you come here and you have this beer, you're going to have another one?
It would be the Kolsch Sandy Britches.
Sandy Britches.
Yeah, and then the Train Hopper, our kind of standard IPA,
Okay.
is really it's recently been given Sandy Britches a run for money. So
what kind of contests do you guys get involved in when it comes to brewing? So I grew up in Massachusetts, right? And every year out in Wachusett Mountain, which is a ski resort for the locals, right? It's not a crazy big mountain, but they always have a micro brew festival, right? And you want to win something there. What do you guys get involved in to kind of promote your beer as, you know, prime, amazing, definitely need to have it, you have to come here to get it type of beer?
Well, we haven't really gotten into anything like that.
Stop!
We
need to get you hooked up with that.
We've kind of let the consumers vote, you know, and being able to come in, and we've had things that people are kind of, that if it sells slowly, then that's usually a good indicator that that's
not necessarily one you want to maintain.
But then ones that are like where it's gone in a weekend, we know, you know, like Fluffy and some of those, it's like when we did 2 kegs at a time and they were gone in a weekend, that's usually a good indicator that that's a good one and people love it. And that really has been a good test for us as far as being able to hone the recipes and identify, kind of work through the kinks of our equipment and finding something that, you know, were we to take the time to go into a contest, it's also good to know that we've done our research and
that it's a value, and people, you've gotten some feedback on that being a choice for you to enter. So listen, I've had a lot of guests, but I haven't had any guests yet that have had children of the drinking age. Not one. Everybody has had younger kids. You know, other than my own kids, right? And I remember having a beer with my kid for the first time when they were old enough to drink. Tell me about that. Do your kids drink beers every now and then?
The ones 21 and older, yes.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Do not serve alcohol to minors, and I would never admit that on camera. However, my grandson has grabbed my beer a few times and been like, I'm like, give me that. And you can see him just licking his lips like, oh man, that's the best.
One day you'll be old.
That's it. So tell me about that experience. Like, you know, let's start with Luther or Anna Grace. I mean, they obviously are old enough to drink beer.
Well, Kayla is. Anna Grace.
I apologize. So Kayla, yeah. Anna Grace, you're not allowed to drink. That wrong. So.
Kayla's less of a drinker. She enjoys the cider and whatnot. But but Luther,
the fruity things.
Yes, yeah. He goes
Framboise.
He goes by Luke within our group, but his name is Luther.
Okay.
And
last name Vandross.
Yes.
Does he have a baritone voice? Does it silky? I don't know.
I have to get him to
heard your son
sing for me later. No, he's more of a instrument guy.
Okay, all right.
Guitarist.
Good, cool, man.
But he worked here for a while. First beer
with
me.
You don't have to know the beer.
Yeah, no.
You just have to remember that moment, man.
It is very special. More Yingling is kind of our go-to.
Okay.
At the house, and so
oldest beer in Florida.
Yeah, and being able to share that time together with him, and I think it meant a lot to me, but it meant a lot to him as well. And I think that's one of our connection points is that a shared love for beer.
Right. You know, there's something to be said, like about doing something with your kid that it takes 21 years for that to be okay.
Right.
And because let's be honest, like my oldest daughter, Hannah, she just had a birthday. Happy birthday, baby.
Happy birthday.
And my daughter, Juliana, and my son, Dominic, they're all old enough to have alcohol. And one of the things that I just loved was just being able to have something that they could have now, because they saw me having it as they grew up. Right. Now, not that I am aware of this at all, but I think that they might have had beer before we had one together. I think. I'm not sure.
Surprising.
I'm like, because I felt like they've had the beer before because they ordered it pretty confidently.
Right. You pronounced the name right.
You're right. So I'm like, hey, is this really our first time? It was our first time. And so I love the fact that, you know, I actually have you on the show, Kiffin, to be able to talk about that, because that's a huge thing. Like, it's something that you don't forget. It's not something that you'll put on tombstones, right? But it is something that you have together, and you can always fall back on that memory because it's really impressive and important. And so, did you ever have a beer with your dad?
Yeah. It probably was more as we've been older, but I mean, they live here in town.
Okay.
So,
Great.
you know, they're avid supporters of the brewery and
Fantastic.
and
Financial supporters, because, you know, we could ask for some money now. Mom and
one
Dad,
day.
can I get $20?
Some lunch money. But that's part of our family dynamic, is being able to share those drinks together and explore new, whether it's new cocktails or new beers, or, you know, where it doesn't have to be a brand or ours, you know, but it's being able to have something, and then being able to talk about, you know, what's in it, you know, because you might have one bottle of something and then you just share it around and we all talk about it, and you may have had an ounce of it, and that really was all you needed to be able to share that experience. You know, and now you've tasted this beer and you've had this thing, and so now you can move on to the beers you can pound. Because you've been able to share this other one that was like, you were only going to drink one of it anyway, because it was, you know, it's this you know,
only had one
bourbon barrel aged, you know, cotton candy, coconut, you know, peanuts and popcorn, you know, whatever.
If that comes out of any of these things here, we'd be surprised. So I went to this brewery in Nashville. Actually, it's right outside of Nashville, Cordova, and it's called Meddlesome Brewery.
Okay.
And they only produce bourbon barreled. I mean, Nashville, right? I mean, I mean, it is some of the strongest beers. Like, everything's 14% or greater, right? I'm like, wow, this is really, really strong brew. It was delicious, but one is enough for me. Like, it was really, really strong. So your strongest beer here, what is that? ABV.
I'd say the highest one we've made was a 12%.
Woo.
Trying to remember.
Not on the list currently.
No, it was usually our anniversary beers in the past have been ones that we've usually put up pretty high, and that one might have been like a seasonal imperial stout for like around Christmas. Usually it's kind of like a one-off thing, but the highest
winter time, the more alcohol in the winter, the better the beer. Right?
Exactly. I'm pretty sure that's a rule.
It's a standard.
Yeah.
So I went to a brewery, and I don't know if you guys have an idea of making something like this, but it was a breakfast beer.
Right.
A breakfast beer. Now, it didn't have eggs and it didn't have pancakes in it, right? But what it did have was a huge amount of maple syrup, bacon, and coffee. Like, I touched the glass and my fingers were sticky afterwards. And it was absolutely amazing. You guys have any plans for something like that?
Similar. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of times we'll encounter other people's creative ideas, and then we'll explore the thought and be able to come up with something of our own, and then or trying to attempt at replicating it, because we appreciate good ideas.
Sure.
And being able to, you know, acknowledge, you know, hey, I was inspired by this, so I want to see if I can recreate it.
Yeah.
You know, or I like that idea. Let's build on it and make something, you know, similar, but with peanut butter and bacon versus maple syrup. You know?
Fantastic. You know, one of the things that I love about breweries and about this place is there absolutely is an art to what is, I mean, it's science, right? For one, it's science.
Yeah.
Fermenting, right? That is absolutely science.
The science won't lie to you.
And it won't, right? And two, it's a huge creative, artistic approach to flavor palettes.
Right.
You know, and sometimes like there's a way that you can count how many taste buds you have. I've read this. You can count how many taste buds you have within a certain circumference, and it'll tell you whether or not you are somebody who could be a connoisseur of foods or beverages, and depending on how many you have per circular millimeter or whatever that is, right? And I have a lot. I do, and
so you're an expert.
I am, but I haven't gone to any of the classes, and I certainly haven't been certified by any means.
Right.
My wife has certified me as completely dumb, but that's because she's my wife, and I'm okay with that. Don't you dare call me that.
Pretty sure our wives would consider us certifiable.
Yeah, we are certifiable. That's very true. And so I am, first of all, it takes a village. It is an absolutely delicious ginger lemongrass lager. I really enjoyed every. I mean, I'm down to like the last couple drops here, and if you want one of these, where can they get one? Cypress Grove.
Any of the breweries? Yeah, Cypress and Grove. Yeah, we have at High Springs. We have some.
Okay, Daft Cow, the Black Adder. They can get some at First Magnitude as well as Swamp Head.
I think
all
so.
Available in the Gainesville 7.
Right, and then Grand Scheme is a new brewery that's there in Heartwood Soundstage area.
Oh, interesting.
Humble Woodfire.
Oh yeah, I know where that's at. Yeah,
that's part of Humble Woodfire, I believe.
Yeah, they make a good pizza.
Yep, and and Joe the brewer makes great beer. So you will not be disappointed.
No, actually, let's read this. It takes a village. Collaboration Beer brings together local breweries to create a unique brew that celebrates community, camaraderie, and a shared passion for exceptional beer. This is an much for having us today. Listen, if you've been watching the show and you are in the North Central, listen, if you're in Florida and you're making your way up to Georgia, you can just pop off of I-75, take 441 for 7 miles and hit this brewery in High Springs. No problem whatsoever. Now, listen, if you need to drink too much and you stay too much, there's plenty of hotels and motels right in this area. So you can stay the night or you can camp at the Springs. It's going to be a great event. Listen, come by High Springs Brewing right here in downtown, beautiful High Springs, Florida. And hey, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's been a super pleasure to have Kiffin Ayers on the show, talking about your family, talking about some memories, talking about beer, talking about being an entrepreneur. And next week, we're going to have ourselves a wonderful show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Two dads having a beer. We out.
Cheers.
See ya. 33 minutes.